There we go. Thank you, Bill. Thank you, Vanessa. Again, my apologies for holding everybody up. And thanks to everyone. Normally, of course, the commissioners hold their meetings at 10 o'clock. And today we've been asked to meet with one of our judges at 11. And we didn't want to constrain ourselves as far as our time is concerned. So we thought, well, let's play it safe and start this meeting an hour earlier. And that will give us time to get our business accomplished and still meet with the judge. So thank you all for adjusting your schedules to join us. I will call to order this regular meeting of the Lawrence County Board of Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, June 25 of 2024. A couple of housekeeping items. The meeting is being live streamed and also recorded. And then we would also request, if you have any type of an electronic communication device, if you'd be kind enough to put it on silent or vibrate. We thank you for that courtesy. We always begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance, and then after that, we'd ask you to remain standing for a moment of silence. I would ask, as we have that moment of silence, if you'd be kind enough to keep the family of Mrs. Evelyn Ward in your thoughts. Many of us knew Evelyn. She was very active in the community, particularly for many, many years as the president of the Newcastle chapter of the NAACP. And both she and Paul touched a lot of people very positively through the years, and she will certainly be missed. So please keep the Ward family in your thoughts. So we'll start with the pledge. Commissioner Sanada, could you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you please remain standing, we'll have a moment of silence. Thank you all. Vanessa, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Sanado?
Here.
Commissioner Kennedy?
Here.
Commissioner Vogler?
Here. We have a quorum. We always have time during our meetings for public comment, both in a few moments as well as prior to adjournment. We welcome your comments. You are certainly welcome to speak both times or one of the two times, or if you're just here to listen, that's also fine. We ask that if you could limit your comments to about a 5-minute period, we'd appreciate that. And also if you could have your comments be directed to county government matters. We'd appreciate that courtesy as well. We always set aside time for row officer reports and comments. Now later in the agenda, our district attorney has a matter for us to consider, but Mr. Lamacusa is considered a row officer. So is there anything over and above what you have later in the meeting that you need to share with us, Josh?
No, sir.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So that takes us to, that takes us to public comments. So let me open it up and see if there are any comments or questions at this time. And hearing none, again, we'll do this before we adjourn. Under fiscal and contractual, at most meetings, we receive documents from the Comptroller's office known as they're referred to as either the warrant register or the check reconciliation register. We have 3 of them today, and if anybody wishes to see them, we'll make them available to you. They are a listing of all the bills that have been paid by the Comptroller's office. These 3 happen to be dated June 17, June 18, and June 20. I'll give my colleagues some time if they would wish to look them over. And then whenever you're ready, I could take a motion to accept these documents. I move we accept the warrant registry.
I'll second.
Gentlemen, thank you. Do either of you have any questions about the warrant registers? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. We also have the minutes of the June 18 meeting from 1 week ago. And once again, gentlemen, I'll give you time to look them over. And whenever you're ready, I can take a motion for us to adopt these minutes.
I'll make a motion to adopt the minutes.
I'll second that. Thank you both, gentlemen. Any comments regarding the minutes as they've been submitted? If not, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Under written communications, we have 5 documents that we will look at and enter into the record. As I go through these, gentlemen, stop me if you have any concerns. The first document is from RAR Engineering Group based here in Newcastle, dated June 5. It's notification to the commissioners that RAR intends to submit a renewal for an existing general permit number WMGR 101NW002 to the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection for the following project. The project name is the RWE Holding Company for R.W. Elliott and Sons. The description is the applicant is renewing its existing general permit for the processing and beneficial use of steel slag, iron slag, refractory bricks that were co-disposed with slag, reclaimed asphalt pavement materials, and uncontaminated brick, block, and concrete from sidewalk and highway projects as a construction material. The site is in Taylor Township, located off of State Route 2032, also known as Cherry Street along Rundle Road in Taylor Township. That's our first document that we're considering. The next 2 come from the Elwood City Forge. The first one is dated May 21. We're a little unclear in looking at this. The mailing address was sent to us from their facility in Newcastle on Moravia Street, but it's Elwood City Forge Act 14 notification, so it may also be at their facility in the borough of Elwood City, so it's either or. But it's in accordance with Act 14. They're giving us notice that the Forge will be submitting an application to modify Plan Approval 37-008C. The modification is to remove the testing requirements for sources 500C, 500D, and 500E and replace with an annual tune-up requirement. That is the first document we've received from them. This is going to the DEP regional office in Meadville. The second document dated June 10, and it does have their mailing address in the borough of Elwood City. Act 14 notification, noting that the Forge will be submitting an application to renew their current state-only operating permit. The facility is located at 800 Commercial Avenue in the borough of Elwood City. The next piece of correspondence comes from Mr. Larry Bryan in Wilmington Township. He's giving us notification that he intends to submit a PAG-04NOI permit application to the DEP to amend the current individual NPDES permit to a PAG-04 permit classification for the following. It is an amendment. This permit allows the discharge of treated sewage to surface waters. The proposed activities, again, will take place in Wilmington Township, Lawrence County. We also, and that was from Mr. Larry Bryan. We've also received a similar letter from Mr. Justin Bryan. And just to make the record clear, Mr. Larry Bryan's specific street address is 441 State Route 18 in Wilmington Township. Mr. Justin Bryan is 447 State Route 18 in Wilmington Township. And the letter is similar to the prior one. It's Act 14 notification for the amending the NPDES permit to a PAG-04 permit. This goes to the DEP, and again, this location is in the township of Wilmington in Lawrence County. And I believe that takes care of the letters for us that we need to review and accept. Gentlemen, any comments about any of these documents? If there are no comments, may I have a motion then to accept the letters?
I move that we accept these letters.
I'll second.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns regarding them? Hearing none, we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you, Vanessa. That takes us to commissioner reports and comments, and today my colleague, Mr. Kennedy, gets to go first. Dan?
Really not a whole lot here. Still trying to stay pretty grounded. Debbie doesn't let me do a lot, but when I get home, but it's just good to be back out doing what I can and getting things done and getting moving. But I was at the SPC meeting yesterday. We had a pretty good meeting, both meetings, and it was just good to be back down there. Seeing some friends that I've made already, and they were happy to see me back. But we're getting better every day. It's a process, but we'll get there. And I go home when I still start feeling myself being winded and I'm relaxed, but hopefully that comes to an end pretty soon too. I'm tired of it. So, but my wife's yelling at me, don't quit pushing yourself. But I think I did enough pushing to get me back here where I need to be. So glad to be back. That's all.
Thank you.
Hopefully this weekend I get out a little bit more. It's gonna be colder than last weekend, so we'll get out and do what we can do.
Again, it's a pleasure to have you back. Mr. Sonata?
Thank you, Chairman. It actually was a fairly busy weekend. I had the opportunity to go up the Scottish Rite Cathedral for the third annual car show, which benefits the Alexia Foundation. Keeps growing a little bit every year. It was very hot, but people still turned out. I was happy. It looked like it was a successful event, and they want to keep moving forward with that. So, second, I actually had a chance to get to Elwood City for the Read Services Dog Days of Summer. This is the first time I've had an opportunity to go down there for that event. I was quite impressed. Read Services does an outstanding job, for their community giving back. This is, I think, their fourth or fifth one, and it's used to buy canines for the police departments within Lawrence County. And I know our sheriff's department was represented well there with the handler who gave me and Commissioner Kennedy both the demonstration a few months back of the dog, and you also have a lot of local police departments there. So, for the first time going, I was quite impressed with the activities that went on down there, and hopefully they made a lot of money because these canines cost, I think, anywhere like $9,000 to $10,000 for each one, and some could be even more than that depending on the training. So it's a major expense, and when you have a private sector business like Read Services doing what they're doing, we appreciate that. So I had to do that opportunity, and Commissioner Kennedy did say I had an opportunity. The SPC meeting yesterday, I had an opportunity to get down. I serve on the general board, and Commissioner Kennedy serves on the executive board and the general board, so he gets double duty. But I thought it was a good meeting yesterday. The projects are moving forward in the Southwest, and Lawrence County's name appeared multiple times up on that board with some projects, so that's what we want to see, and we want to keep on that. So that's pretty much all I have for this weekend. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, both particularly for your attendance at the SPC meeting yesterday. I'll note that this coming weekend, and it kind of snuck up on us, but the Elwood City Arts and Crafts Festival takes place this weekend in advance of the 4th of July. So if you're looking for something fun to do, it's a great place to go, and keep our fingers crossed for good weather. And the other interesting thing I'll note is that just by coincidence, Dan and I were talking, just by coincidence within the last week, we have each been on State Route 18 in the southern end of the county, and we've each driven separately past the former Stonecrest Golf Course in New Beaver Borough. And boy, are they making progress down there. It doesn't look like a golf course anymore, does it?
No.
And a lot of heavy equipment, and they're moving a lot of dirt. And we're optimistic for some good success there. And I know you're staying close in your role on the Economic Development Corporation Board. You're staying very close with Mr. Bush on that and many other projects. But if you happen to be in the southern end of the county and you want to see a really changed landscape, I would suggest you go down 18 just to take a look at it. That's all I have. We'll move on to new business, and our first item is from our district attorney, Mr. Lamancusa. Would you care to join us, Josh?
Yes.
And what number would this one be, Vanessa?
149.
149. Josh, again, it's always nice to have you here, and hope you and your family are well.
Excuse me, I have some broken ribs,
Oh, my goodness.
so it just takes me a second. I was trying to recreate my childhood mistake. It's a slip and slide. I will move on. It's great to see you. Commissioner.
Can I tell you a little secret? You're not the one. Like me.
I'm aware. And it caught up really fast.
Well, we wish you a very, very quick and painless recovery.
Yeah.
I guess with ribs, you can't put a cast on them or anything. You just have to
Tylenol
live.
and Advil.
Well,
Getting out of bed's fun.
I bet trying to sleep at night can't be,
Just on one side.
oh my goodness. Well, again,
But again, Commissioner, I'm just glad to see you. This is easy. What you went through was not, so.
well, we have the proposed resolution. This is an agreement that you're presenting to us. It would be a cooperative policing initiative between the Criminal Investigations Division of the District Attorney's Office and the City of Newcastle, and I believe specifically the Police Department's Detective Bureau. Would you like to give us some of the specifics, please?
Sure, Commissioner, this is actually just the updated version of the agreement that the county signed several months ago. We just had to tweak a couple things. There were some issues that the labor union had that we had to sort out between the City of Newcastle and the county in terms of what we would be responsible for. We did not incur any additional responsibilities, but the whole purpose of this agreement is to take our county detectives and the city's detective unit, have the city do what's called TFOing, task force officers. So the city would then, by virtue of this agreement, would tender their detectives to the district attorney's office. They would then receive countywide jurisdiction. And we would really be a force multiplier in the sense that the crimes that we'd be investigating, instead of having 3 people doing it, now there'd be 6. There's no increased liability or cost to the county itself because the City of Newcastle is still responsible for paying the salaries, the overtime, all of that. Our detectives would be moving to the Newcastle Police Department. I used forfeiture money to purchase the necessary things, desks, some computers to outfit the facility. But pursuant to the agreement, our detectives would be stationed there. Now, that does not mean that they would be Newcastle police officers. They never become Newcastle police officers, and their jurisdiction extends throughout the county. So we're not reducing our responsibilities, we're just gaining manpower. It is a substantial benefit to the city of Newcastle because, quite frankly, with the volume of work that they have, they can really use the help. And so they're getting the benefit of 3 additional experienced detectives. That's really just the agreement. But as I stated before, this was the same agreement that was previously presented and authorized by the county.
Thank you for that information. Let me ask you a couple quick questions and then I'll turn it over to my colleagues. Do you happen to know if the city council has yet voted on this matter?
They have and they approved it.
Okay, thank you for that. Secondly, do you happen to know the length of the contract? Is there an expiration date?
There is a 2-year, the contract is for 2 years. It will automatically renew unless either party indicates that they do not wish to renew. But there's also a provision in there that with 30 days notice, either side can pull out of the agreement.
Thank you for that response as well. Just for the benefit of the folks in the audience, state law is very interesting in terms of governing of how counties function. We've pointed out in many instances that the independently elected row officers, of which Mr. Lamancusa is one, are in fact independent. The three of us are not the boss of the district attorney. He doesn't report to us. Our relationship with both Mr. Lamancusa and the other row officers is primarily budgetary. But on contracts with any department or elected office at the county level, contracts do have to come through the Board of Commissioners. We have to sign them, which is why Mr. Lamancusa has to be here today to pass this along to us. So just wanted to give you all that background. Mr. Sanada, do you have questions for the district attorney?
No, thank you. I wish you a speedy recovery, Josh. Appreciate your input, because you were very thorough, and that's important.
Thank you, Chris. Commissioner Kennedy?
The only thing I gotta say is, it's, to me, it's a win-win for both Newcastle and that, Chris and I got to tour that Newcastle Police Department's office down there. And my first thought was, how do they fill this thing up till you walk in the door? And then they also have a first-class training outfit down there for their officers. But, the chief, I think, is a top-notch guy down there. And working with him, he's hopefully changing what's going on in Newcastle with the help of you guys. So I'm all good for that. I think it's a good idea.
Thank you. Josh, before we take a vote, anything else you need to add?
No, sir.
All righty, thank you. May I have a motion then for proposed resolution 149?
I move that we approve resolution 149.
Second.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any final questions or concerns? Call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Josh, as always, we just hope you start to feel better, and you're very welcome to stay, but knowing how busy you are, I'm sure you have to move along.
I do, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for your time.
Them little kids that you got, they can do all that stuff.
That was not a wise move.
Take care.
Thank you. See you, Josh.
We have 7 contracts from Children and Youth Services. Are you folks, is it-
Yeah, you skipped mental health.
Yeah.
so I did. Pardon me?
I got one short one, Mr. Commissioner.
Mr. Baldwin, my apologies. Please, thank you for keeping me on the straight and narrow.
8 last week, I got one today.
Okay, again, my apologies, Scott. Proposed resolution 150 is from the Mental Health and Developmental Services Office. Mr. Scott Baldwin is the director of that office, and your proposed resolution deals with the organization known as ARISE, also known as the Crisis Shelter of Lawrence County, located at 1218 West State Street, City of Newcastle. Scott, I'll turn it over to you.
This is our renewal contract for fiscal year 24-25, so it will begin July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. This is a renewal contract for ARISE. We started last year then providing individual and group therapy sessions at the jail for our female inmates, but also for our juveniles that are there. The feedback's been great. I know the jail really appreciates it, and ARISE was grateful to do that again for us. So that's continuing that, but also we're adding in a new housing initiative. They received a grant for permanent housing, so when ladies and their kids leave the women's shelter, they started a long-term housing program. We're helping fund part of that, and that amount is $25,000. So their full contract is $60,000, and it is all paid out of the Human Services Block Grant, which is no cost to the county. So that's it.
Well, thank you. Mr. Kennedy, do you have questions for Scott?
No, not at all.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanada?
I have one as well. Thank you, Scott.
Well, that being said, and Scott, we appreciate your giving us the background on this. Gentlemen, may I have a motion for proposed resolution 150?
So moved.
I'll second that.
Thank you. If there are no other questions, we can take a roll call vote, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. As we said to Josh, you're very welcome to stick around, but if you have to head back, we also understand that.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Scott. Have a good one.
You too.
Now we can turn our attention to CYS now that pointed out to me that that's the order of things. And Lisa, Mike, are you doing any of them?
Yeah, she's doing the first two.
Oh, okay, good, got it all worked out. Lisa is actually with juvenile probation, but, so let's start with proposed resolution 151. This is with a contract with Lawrence County Social Services. I'll turn it over to Lisa Haddad, and I got your last name right. Still remember your maiden name, but thank you, Lisa, if you'd like to fill us in, please.
Sure, this first contract with Lawrence County Social Services is also a renewal contract. They provide two programs for us, the iMatter program and a life skills enhancement program. They're both in-home services, working with our juveniles in the community to provide like life skills, obviously kind of self-explanatory, providing life skills for our older youth, helping them transition from youth to adulthood, learning how to manage money, budget, fill out job applications, a variety of things for that. And then our iMatter program is a drop-in center where we work 2 nights a week. The juveniles are receiving cognitive behavioral interventions, which is very key, I guess, in our juvenile system. We're learning how to process all sorts of different things, you know what I mean? So it's, like I said, renewal contract for both of those programs for Lawrence County Social Services.
And what we normally have been doing is we hear from Lisa and Mike and go through them, and usually we vote them as a block. Are you both okay with continuing that practice? Sure. Okay. That being said, before we move on to the next proposal, let's start with Chris. Do you have any questions on this first one?
No, she's very thorough.
Okay, thank you. Dan, anything for Lisa on the first proposal?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you, sir. Next is then proposed resolution 152, organization known as Outside In School of Experiential Education. That's based in Greensburg, Westmoreland County. What can you tell us about this one?
This is also a renewal contract. This is a placement facility location where we mostly contract with them for their inpatient drug and alcohol program that is also covered through MA dollars. So occasionally we may have someone that may not meet that criteria, but for most of the youth that we refer to this program specifically, they are paid for through MA, but we contract with them, which would also be able to be covered through our needs-based budget at I believe a 60/40 reimbursement rate. But like I said, most of our referrals we're getting paid through for MA dollars.
Forgive me, MA, medical assistance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. If they meet criteria, they have to go through an assessment. If they meet criteria, then we're able to bill MA instead of the county
I see.
for those
Okay.
reimbursement.
And as you pointed out, this is a renewal. Let me see if Commissioner Kennedy has any questions. Okay, thank you, Commissioner Sanada. Okay, thank you. Well, Lisa, thank you for the information on both of those. And then I think at this point, we turn it over to Mr. Grippa.
Yeah.
So Mike, the first one we're going to look at with you today is proposed resolution 153. That is Glade Run Lutheran Services based in Zillinople, Butler County. I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, it's a renewal. It's a program we started with LCAP, where the old YBC building was. We have 6 houses, and Glade Run runs that part of it through LCAP. And it's mostly for, a mother with a child or something. And we have 5 of the 6 rented already out there. Now, if you go back to the sheet with Glade Run on, the yearly premium or the yearly cost was $234,000, but the other supplements like family reunification, travel, it's only a needs base. Not saying that if they don't use it, we don't pay. So the just the yearly one is what we supply or initially pay, and then the rest is on a need base.
Can either you or Joe refresh my memory? When this project was initiated, did we allocate ARPA money towards it? I seem to think that we did.
I believe we had some ARPA, yes. We also used health choice reinvestment for part of it and the construction of it, part of the construction. So, yeah.
Okay, that's what I seem to recall. And then my second question is to my two colleagues. It tends to be a blur to me sometimes. Have we had you out to that facility? I think we have.
I was there on my own with, Tom Scott took me through it.
Okay.
Showed me it all.
Have you been there, Chris?
I was out there.
We've been there for a couple different meetings at different sites, but I don't know if
I'm
we
not
had
sure.
you to that one.
I don't think I did this one specifically. We've been there a couple of times.
And,
When did this take effect?
What's that?
When did this go out there?
Was it, I think last
Last year.
year is when,
I was thinking, 'cause I've been out there.
well, if you get a chance, it's worth seeing.
yeah,
And I'm glad to hear you said 5 of the 6 are filled right now.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good to know.
Yeah.
Mr. Sonata, do you have questions over and above what we've talked about?
Yes, you're saying they're living out in the social service facility out in Freedom Road.
right,
So this was formerly where the houses or the,
yeah, what, is it an apartment or is it?
Yeah.
It was formerly.
Six individual apartments were formed in one of the cottages. So, and I think there's some, there are individual apartments out there. And-
Yeah.
And it just was, we continue to see a high rate of, mothers in particular who had young kids that needed the housing and some support as they were coming out of other services, and it was a way to get kids back, reunited with the family with some structure before hopefully they successfully pass the program criteria and go on.
is it like an educational facility? I mean, they're taught skills while they're there, is that?
Well,
She knows.
I toured it last week, the vacant apartment, because at one point all 6 were, occupied. But, like when I was there, there was an LCAP case manager out there with a couple of mothers teaching them about teenagers and as a parent being smart about like what your teenager's accessing on the internet. And they, all kinds of partnerships like, CAC, I always say it wrong, the health, ADAGIO health. They've come out and done some cooking classes for the mothers. I mean, there's all kinds of different social service partners that are coming in and teaching these mothers, different skills that they'll take with them.
Are these coming from the crisis shelter out there, or is this something different?
Like I'll let you answer.
Oh,
Yeah.
We'll let
They
Joe
can.
answer.
Basically, referrals right now are primarily made via CYS. And then there's a committee of different partners, community partners that make up an executive committee, which I'm part of. We review those cases and basically have a roundtable whether the person or the family is a good fit for the program. If they're a good fit, then we start the process of intake and tours, to see if it's something that also that the family's interested in. We can't make a mother go there. But once you walk through and you see it, it's a beautiful facility and
How long do they stay?
What's,
How long
I
will they
mean,
be there? 6 year, 2 year? I mean, is it?
about 6 months, 6-8 months.
Okay. Then after that, they go into a private home. So,
yeah,
That's the goal.
we try to get them back on their feet enough to where whether they're renters, buyers, whatever the case might be, that they go, they go out on their own. We wouldn't discharge them without a place to live. So
What about the kids in school? Where do they get the schooling education?
Sure, they go to the regular school.
they go to their home school.
That's my
yeah.
question. It's not
Believe it's
Shenango,
home
it would be wherever their homes. are.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
That's where they just continue to go.
yeah.
Okay, well, I appreciate the information.
Yeah.
This is something different. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you, Chris. Dan, questions?
No, I'm good. It's a nice facility out there.
Yeah.
Really is.
Thank you. That takes care of resolution 153, and we move to number 154, and this proposed resolution is with Allied Coordinated Transportation, Inc., based in the city of Newcastle. Mike, can you fill us in on that one, please?
Yeah, because of the high demand of transportation, a lot of our case aides can't transport. Then there's some kids in different areas of other counties. So we partner up with LCAP here to do transports. And I think 22, 23, we used them like 7 times. Last year we used them 4 times. But they carry that extra load that if they have to run to Cranberry or Pittsburgh and the case aides are tied up or something and we don't have the staff, then we call them and then they do the transport. And they transport families too, right? The whole family, and take them to visits and stuff like that.
Just a technical note, this particular resolution, there wasn't at least in my packet, you didn't have a supporting document in the back.
Oh, because their contract's so complicated when it comes to, depends on, that's why she runs this,
Yeah.
Vanessa. It's just that depends on how many miles and time, and it was too complicated to try to put,
That's fine.
put it in there, unless you wanna say anything
Would you
more.
like me to?
Absolutely.
Yes,
So there's 4 tiers of transportation available through the contract between CYS and ACTS. The first one would be what ACTS does for anybody, door-to-door service within our service area. If it's the foster child, one adult can go with them for free, pretty easy type of service. And we bill a regular shared ride public rate. And anytime we can bill the trip to say medical assistance transportation, or if it qualifies for another funding source, we're always gonna go that route instead of billing CYS. The second level is in-county exclusive ride. So let's say a family or a child has a reason why they cannot ride with other passengers. Maybe the child has special needs, maybe there's just some kind of situation. We do charge $22 for a half-hour trip. So that would be just the CYS people on the bus at one time, and we would drop them off. The third level would be out-of-county exclusive ride. So for example, we had a family who was being moved out of a shelter here in Newcastle, relocated down into Pittsburgh. So CYS called us and we had a driver, obviously no other passengers on board. We went and picked them up at a hotel, mom and all her children, and we transported them and their stuff, down into Pittsburgh. And in that case, we charged $66 per hour, no mileage rate. And then fourth and final, which has never been used, say there was really some out of normal trip. Somebody needed to go on a Sunday to West Virginia, or, in the evening, they needed to get out of town. We do have an exclusive kind of Cadillac rate, which would be $66 per hour plus mileage at $1.25 per mile. That was never been used. We just put it in there in case, because things come up, and we wanted to have that scale. Primarily, it's been our basic shared ride structure, the same thing anybody could use. We take some children from either school or their foster home to visitation. Occasionally, a biological or foster parent needs to get somewhere to sign something for a child and it's urgent, we pick them up and take them, things like that. Sorry, I might have over-answered your question.
I'm impressed that you remember all those numbers and everything. I'm very impressed.
Thank you.
And just for the record, that was Vanessa Lovely from Lawrence County Social Services. So thank you both. You've
So
certainly
you
answered.
understand why I did put it in there?
I do understand.
Yeah.
But thank you both. Dan, do you have questions on this particular one?
I'm good.
Okay, thank you. Chris, anything? Okay, thank you. So that's number 154. Number 155 is a contract with Terry O'Hara, PhD, in Pittsburgh, Allegheny County. What can you tell us about this one?
Okay, he's a psychiatrist that we call. He determined the parental capacity and bonding assessment. So he could diagnose or rule out mental illness in situations where we need him to come in and talk to the family. He can also provide services to help to reunify the child back to the family. So he's out of Pittsburgh. We used him last year. I think we had we had about 5 of them. I 4 or 5 times that we brought him in. But that's what he really does. He determines the bonding assessment and parental capacity, in cases that we need to see about mental health and stuff like that.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanada, any questions on this proposal?
That sounds thorough.
Thank you. Mr. Kennedy? Okay. The final one that Mike has for us, number 156, is with Pence Run Youth Services based in Du Bois, Clearfield County. Mike, what can you tell us about this?
It's a renewal. Now, we've never used them. Again, this is something that we use for a backup. We've never placed anyone. I don't think JPO has placed anyone there either, but it's a backup in case we have someone and we call them if they take the child or not. But yeah, we've never used them, just more for backup.
Very good. Thank you. Dan, any questions on this one? Okay, Chris? Okay, thank you. Gentlemen, both Lisa and Mike have presented to us resolutions 151 up through and including 156. We indicated that we would more than likely take these as a group. That being said, would one of you care to make a motion to approve these resolutions?
So be it.
Thank you, Dan. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. Once again, the motion is to approve resolutions 151 up through and including 156. If there are no other questions or concerns, we can take a roll call.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you. Mike, I got to compliment you on this. This document is so very helpful. I'm sure it takes you a while to pull it
Yeah.
together, but it is very, very helpful. So thank you.
And I give credit to Vanessa over there because she sends me the agenda, so I can keep them in order
Yeah.
the way they go down.
Exactly.
Unless they would have been all over, so,
And we-
yeah.
That's known as teamwork. As we've said to the other folks, both Lisa and Mike, you're very welcome to stick around, but if you have to head back to your offices, we understand. So thank you both for joining us.
Thanks.
Take care. Well, Mike, the proverbial question, will we see you next week?
Yeah, yeah.
Good, that's fine. We always enjoy having you here. Well, Vanessa Lovely has proposed resolution 157. Vanessa is with Lawrence County Social Services. Thank you for waiting today. We had a number of things to go through, but your proposal is the MATP program, the Medical Assistance Transportation Program. What do we need to know about this one?
I'll try to keep it brief. I can go on and on about this particular program. I'm here to ask for your consideration to renew the contract between the county and Lawrence County Social Services. For the last, 20 years, Lawrence County Social Services has run this program on behalf of the county. And what the program is and does, anyone who has medical assistance or Medicaid through the state is automatically eligible for free transportation to go to the doctor or pick up prescriptions that are being paid for by that insurance card. In order to provide those trips, LCSS will either give them transit authority bus tickets, rides on ACTS, mileage reimbursement. If the family has access to their own vehicle, that's at 25 cents per mile. We can reimburse parking and tolls. And then last but not least, if somebody really has an urgent medical need and none of the other more financially responsible modes will do it, we can contract with like a Nova or an exclusive ride provider in order to make sure they get to that, outpatient surgery that's in Pittsburgh or, what have you. This year, things are a little bit different, same program, but because of potential delays in the state budget, the county has not received their grant allocation letter yet for July 1. You gentlemen are on the email that you may see me sending to DHS. But, so I'm here today to ask you to consider signing the contract with us so we can continue this entitlement program after July 1. But the contract between the county and LCSS acknowledges that if the county does not have the funds, we know we're gonna have to wait to be paid. We understand that. The grant application that we put in on behalf of the county for July 1 is in the amount of $2,174,340. But the way that works is that hopefully DHS does approve that full allocation, they typically do. And then if we do not provide enough services, say in the first quarter, if we don't spend 25% of that amount, then they will hold back a portion on the third quarter, and second quarter actuals, they will hold back money on the fourth quarter. So it's basically a reimbursement program that comes through the county from DHS. Hopefully I didn't over-explain that, or under-explain.
No, in fact, could you, though, for my benefit, repeat that dollar figure again?
Yes, I stumbled on it.
That's okay.
So the application was for $2,174,340.
Thank you for that.
And, sorry.
No, please.
And LCSS, starting July 1, will invoice the county for trips provided. It's an after-the-fact invoice in the amount of $27.25. And the reason that, we're required to kind of average our costs and have a one rate. It has gone up about $4 since this fiscal year we're closing, but that has to do with the price of the providers going up, and just more people needing out-of-county trips. So LCSS has paid that whether or not they're paying a $50 ACTS trip or a $1 Transit Authority bus ticket. It's just an average.
Well, I appreciate all the information you've shared. It's most helpful. I actually have a question for Joe, and both with Joe's current position and even his prior position at MHDS. Everything you've heard from Vanessa and everything that we know right now, any concerns on your part?
No, it's an entitled program, much like the early intervention of mental health. It's something that we really are mandated to provide. It's a needed program, and at the end of the day, the state makes you whole for the cost of doing the program.
So the lack of a budget, let's assume that the legislature doesn't meet the June 30 deadline and spills over into July. That's, as you just said, at the end of the day, it's all gonna work out eventually.
Oh, yes, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll see if Mr. Kennedy has any questions for Vanessa.
No, I'm good. I think it's all been answered.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Sonata?
Yeah, Vanessa, you said like $27. If that's per trip, is that the average?
Yes.
So you said, oh, you want to count, it's $27. You're not gonna bill us for $27.
$27.25 per trip.
Per trip. Okay.
Yes.
And there's a specific number of trips they're taking. Is that all? Is that how that works?
Right, we're projecting for this new fiscal year, 79,000, I have the number here,
Yeah.
79,000, short of 80,000, which we're projecting up a bit. From this year, I'm projecting we're going to land at about, I think it's 76,000 is where I'm projecting we're gonna land once we close out June.
That's how many trips you'll take during the year.
Yes, that will provide to Lawrence County residents, yes,
That's a lot of trips.
it is.
That's It did a lot of them, when you start using the number, like almost 80,000 trips, and this is basically to take you to the doctor,
Yes,
the hospital. Does this include grocery shopping?
not on this particular program.
This
No.
is more of a medical program,
Yes,
so this is for medical needs.
yes,
And if you have to go to Pittsburgh, they'll take you to this one.
yes.
All right, thank you for clarifying.
Joe, anything else you care to ask or add?
No,
Okay.
well explained.
Okay, well, thank you. And thank you, Vanessa. We've heard her presentation and we have the proposed resolution in front of us, number 157. Excuse me, may I have a motion for its approval?
I move that we approve this resolution.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. If there are no other concerns or questions, we can take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. Vanessa, thank you so much. We appreciate your coming today. And again, I know you're busy. If you have to move along, we understand.
Very much.
Otherwise, you're welcome to stay, whatever your preference is.
Thank
you. We have the next resolution, number 158, is a transfer which has been requested of us by the Veterans Affairs Office. They're asking that $5,550 be moved from the Commissioner's contingency line item into that of the Veterans Other Services line item. And this was for expenses incurred regarding the Albert P. Gettings Bridge ceremony. Gentlemen, let me see if there are any questions. Chris, questions on this one? Dan?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. May I have a motion for resolution 158, please?
I'll make that motion.
Thank you. Is
I'll
there a second? Thank you, Chris and Dan. We'll do a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. The next proposal, and I guess I have to ask Vanessa the question, on the agenda, it has District Judge Amodi, and the transfer form has Judge Cartwright's signature
This
on
should
it.
be Cartwright.
Okay, so thank you. So on the agenda, let's scratch Judge Amodi's name, and we'll put Judge Cartwright's name. And this is actually, it does not have a resolution number, it's an administrative transfer. Judge Cartwright is requesting a transfer of $450 from within his budget from the equipment lease line item into that of the maintenance and repair line item. Dan, any questions on this one? None. Thanks. Chris? Okay, thank you. May I have a motion then for this transfer request?
I move we approve the transfer request.
I'll second.
Thank you, gentlemen. And we'll take a roll call, please.
Commissioner Sinata,
Yes.
Commissioner Kennedy,
Yes.
Commissioner Vogler,
Yes.
motion carries.
Thank you. We do have a resolution on the table, number 126, and I believe what I've been advised, that is still being worked on. So the CYS is, I believe, requesting that it remain on the table for now at least. Is that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Some announcements that we have. Commissioners will meet once again next week at our regular time, 10 a.m. on Tuesday, July 2. Also on July 2 at 8:30 a.m., a special meeting of the County Salary Board will take place in this room at 8:30, and there will be a legal ad. More than likely, I think you try to shoot for Saturday, right?
Saturday, yes.
Okay, so we'll have a legal ad announcing that. Also on July 2, the regular meeting of the Lawrence County Opioid Advisory Board has been canceled. And then finally, on Thursday, July 4, which is Independence Day, courthouse will be closed. That's a federal holiday. Are there any other announcements we've overlooked? If not, that takes us to public comment. Mr. Kemmerer, good morning.
Good morning. I wanted to take a moment and speak about the current contracts, which everything but foster care is now been tabled. my concern is this, July 1 is next Monday. We are assumed to continue all the services that we provide, which we are the largest power provider in the county, and without contracts. And this could be completely avoided. This year, Mr. Bout reached out to me in March and said he wanted to do things differently. And he asked if we would have a meeting with him and his fiscal person and my fiscal person, myself, if we would meet every week for an hour on each of the contracts that we had. So he could look at them. He said that there's been more pressure on the state level to ensure that spending is par for what it should be, and that, just looking at all the numbers. So myself, agreed, and we set up meetings for each of them. We literally went line item by line item as we put together our 24-25 budget for every single program that we offer. When I asked him afterwards how many other private providers cooperated and did what we did, the answer was 0. Okay, so just recognizing that we went out of our way to open ourselves up completely, to putting the budgets together in a very fair and equitable way. And then at the 11th hour, long after this has been done, these were done, and I have signed my portion of what needed to be signed for the contracts easily a month ago. John reached out to me, John Bout reached out to me, and we had combined 2 of our programs last year, a Homemakers program, which is a program which provides, when you really have deplorable situations, our folks go in there and help them to clean up and so they can keep their kids, not lose their children over housing conditions. But we had combined the Homemaker program with the Crossroads program, which is our after-school program. We did that in an effort to allow homemakers to continue, because I had said to John, I'm not going to be able to offer this program anymore. At that time, it was if I go back 3 years, it was like a $35,000 program, and I lost $30,000. Now, you don't have to be a businessman to know, something that's supposed to cost $35 is costing me $65. It's my cheapest program. I can't continue to offer. So fast forward, we combined the 2 programs so we could provide for both. We agreed in the summer of 22, prior to that contract coming in for 23-24, that would be a half-time program. So we had each of our workers, which we have 6 that work at Crossroads, each one of them agreed to take up to 1 case if necessary. So the program, when it was full-time, was 8 to 12 cases. Part-time, the last 2 years, 4 to 6 cases. Okay. Currently running at 6 cases. One of his caseworkers, supervisors, reached out, said, I have a case that I want to send to you. Okay, is there somebody you're going to discharge, because we are full? Then John got involved and called me and said that wasn't how it's supposed to be. And I'm like, that's how we run it for 2 years. We agreed. I have emails that say 800 hours a year, which if you break it down is a 15-hour-a-week program. So again, 6 cases, recognizing what you should spend on each one, that's easily your 15 hours. So he said, well, I really want you to take additional cases. And he began to try to, which I took offense to, began to send emails figuring out exactly a time study on what my staff should be doing in those, we're running those 2 programs, why they should have additional time. So I responded back, John, if this does not provide for your need, then maybe you need to RFP. I don't know what else to tell you. I'm not going to provide you additional service. My people in that program make $13 an hour, $28,000 a year, and he's asking them to do more than we're asking. We already combined 2 programs and are asking them each to take a homemaker case. So he said, okay, so I sent him an email in response. I can't do this. I can't do anything additional. I'm not going to put any burden on my staff, and I'll end up losing staff members. We all know retention of staff is huge. So his response was, okay, I'm in receipt of your email. sent another email to them and said, this was at least 3 weeks back now, said, we are fine with continuing to provide that service, but we can't provide it at the level that you're looking at, so that's where we are, but I'm fine if you want to continue on the current level. So as a result of that, clearly that has led us to the impasse, because I have, like I said, you tell me how any private provider could put any more additional time into and providing information to, opening everything with our books to the fiscal department and John Bow. And now we are in impasse. And then I came last week just to see, hey, where our contract's gonna get renewed, foster care was renewed. And then I saw a table, so I said, well, I'll come this week, I'm sure that'll be taken care of this week. My understanding from talking to Mr. Grippo is that Mr. Bow is on vacation. I've received no further correspondence from him since 2 to 3 weeks ago. He just said, I'm in receipt of your email. That's how it was left. Am I to continue to provide that service? Am I continue to provide all the services? Is there, I just don't feel that this is a very fair way. I didn't want to come up here and talk to you guys. I hoped that this week it would be off the table and we would be just getting our contracts approved. I'd be sitting here watching that and observing. But because of the situation as it is, so I have all of my programs tied up into these budgets, these three budgets that they're not being approved. And next Monday is July 1. And I have no assurances because there was nothing else told to me. I asked Mr. Grippo, he said, I asked him last week, he said, well, I don't know. He said, I just understand there might be some issues with the contracts. I'm like, not on my end. Everything is the same. We agreed on the spending. Everything had been agreed on, every single program. So this came up at the 11th hour over a single referral that I said, we did not take anything additional. This is the service that's been provided for 2 years, exactly the same, 4 to 6 families. Requested 7th or 8th, whatever it might be. And so that's where we are. And I'm just, I just need to let you guys know because you many times may get one side of things, but and you know, I've been around Craig for 34 years. I'm not playing any games with anybody. I'm straightforward. I've been long here. I've seen, I can't tell you how many directors, Dan, you've been around for a while, but how many directors at CYS. And I've worked with everyone that I had to work with to be the best that Craig has. And here we are, the last week of June, and we have no contract. And it can't be over anything else because everything has been worked out. There's nothing to be worked out with a contract unless he's choosing to pull that contract because he's not happy that I'm going to provide service that was not contracted for. So that's my statement. You're welcome to ask me anything you'd like to ask me.
Well, Don, thank you. I'm actually going to pose a question to Mike. If you're able to answer this, you may not be. Do you think there's a likelihood that between now and next Tuesday that this matter could be taken off the table and voted on? Do you think that's possible?
No, only because he's on vacation,
Okay.
so he won't be back and I could never get it. Well, because of the agenda, or I don't know how that would work.
So I have to post the agenda Monday by 10 a.m.
Yeah,
for 24 hours in advance.
so that in that case, it is possible because you already have the contract.
I do.
Once he tells me, okay,
Am I to assume he'll be back Monday morning?
yeah.
We'll have to converse, but I'm wondering if perhaps we may want to suggest to Mr. Bout that upon his return, that this become priority number 1 on Monday morning. But again, let me see what your thoughts are, Chris or Dan.
I don't see any reason we can't. No problem.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would need is a different, whatever the rate sheet is, which is
Right.
nothing. That's the only thing that's missing, you know, in.
And you just have to tell me yes or no for the
Yeah,
agenda,
yeah.
so I can post it.
I don't, you have all the rate sheets. I'm not sure. What they're-
No, if there's a change.
Oh, yeah, if there's a change.
Yeah, if there
We're
was,
not requesting any change.
no, I mean, I already have everything. She's holding everything.
Our dilemma, and Mike was very accurate in pointing it out, by law, the latest we can as far as an agenda, which by law has to be public 24 hours in advance. And as Vanessa said, by 10 a.m. next Monday morning, we have to release the agenda, and we cannot modify it unless we get guidance from the solicitor. And there are some exceptions, emergencies, for
Yes,
example.
very few, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a little bit of leeway, and we have to take guidance from the solicitor as to whether or not we could adjust the agenda. But the only way I'll do that is if the solicitor says, yes, you can do it because it's in accordance with the law. But I think on our part, again, I don't want to speak for Chris or Dan, but I think we can communicate to Mr. Bout that upon his return, this has to be his first priority when he gets back in his office. I don't mean to leave you out either. Maybe you want to add something or?
No, nothing to add, but I agree with the commissioner's decision that this is a high priority. And certainly reach out to John via email today, to make sure that he's prepared Monday morning if that's what he so chooses.
Again, I want to make certain that Dan and Chris are okay with that approach. Yes.
And there's 2 contracts left.
Now, we have only one on the table though.
No, I didn't present the other one yet.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
I got all the information. I
Okay.
was just holding it until,
I see.
but if that's the case, then we do both of them.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate you clarifying that as well, because I know, and you stated that within the last few weeks, I think we've approved 2 other ones.
No, we approved foster
Just
care.
the one? I thought there was a second.
They have foster care, they have an in-home,
Yeah.
and then they have a special grant
I
contract.
see.
So there's
Okay,
2 of them, but I handed the one in
yes.
until the last minute, and I pulled it off. And I still have the other one already ready to go.
Okay,
So that's all made up, but you'll get that Wednesday or
Right,
something.
yeah.
Well,
That's, whenever.
Yeah, I mean,
okay.
I can take
I mean,
it Thursday.
Well, that'll be our plan of action, Dawn. We'll convey to Mr. Bout that, given the time constraints, that this has to be the very first thing he addresses upon his return.
And I think you understand my concerns, so, again, I'm gonna provide services, nothing's gonna change on my end. We provided for 40 years, I'm not gonna say I'm not gonna provide services because I don't have contracts, but I don't do that. But, the cooperation needs to go both ways. And
Understood?
I'm more than willing, anytime you guys ever have a question that involves Craig, I would ask that you would inquire with me, because I will, Danny and I go way back, and he knows, I am a person of integrity, and I want to do the best for kids. You don't last in this field as long as I do if my passion isn't that way. So I thank you guys for your time.
Thank you, Dawn. Appreciate your joining us today. Gentlemen, well, no, forgive me. I'm still on public comment. Debbie? Okay, I have your packet for you here. Any other public comment before we move towards adjournment? Okay, closing comments from my fellow commissioners. Mr. Kennedy, anything?
I don't know.
Thank you. Commissioner Sanada? Joe or Vanessa, anything maybe we accidentally overlooked? All right. Thank you both for all the work you do getting us ready for this meeting. Again, next week we'll be back at our regular time at 10 a.m. Thank you all for joining us. May I please have an adjournment motion? Move we adjourn.
I'll second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Aye, opposed, the same sign. Motion carries. This meeting's adjourned. Thank you, everybody. Joe's going to turn off the computer.
Yeah. Sure.
Well, Jason's available.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
Yes, do that now.
I have a quick question. Since I've been out for